Shalom. I want to give all praise and glory unto Yahawah, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem, Ha Rekakwadash. Double honors goes out to the elder apostles of Great Millstone for teaching me this truth. Also want to acknowledge all the Akyam who are pushing this truth with sincerity throughout the four corners of the earth. Alright? So, today the Spirit has me in Deuteronomy chapter 4. I'm going to jump around a little bit. It's a long chapter. But start at 27. It says, And Yahawah shall scatter you among the nations, and ye shall be left few in number among the heathen, whither Yahawah shall lead you. Alright? So obviously this prophecy has come to pass. The Israelites have been scattered among all nations. Alright? That's why in the New Testament, when you read about the nations being blessed, it's because Israelites are in all nations. Alright? It's not because the heathen are, something special. That's the Renaissance Christianity in your head. Polluting your mind when you think like that. Alright? So the reason why the nations are blessed is because Israelites, like we read in 27, are scattered in all nations. Alright? And then let's hear why that's a curse, to be scattered in all these different nations. Verse 28. And there ye shall serve powers, gods, the work of men's hands, wood and stone, which neither see, nor hear, nor eat, nor smell. See? So, that's why it's a curse to be in all these different nations. Because these different nations set up different gods, different powers, different philosophies, different doctrines. So when we're coming up in all these different nations, well, they're going to influence us, That's why in America, we grew up as Catholics. Then we wanted to call ourselves Christians, Until we came across this truth, and it resonated with our spirit. And now we understand the truth according to knowledge and not according to just our zeal, which is our passion. But now it's according to knowledge, right? And it changes the way we read the Bible. We see with new eyes, see? So let me keep reading. Verse 29. But if from thence thou shalt seek Yahawah thy power, thou shalt find him. If thou seek him with all thy heart or the mind, and with all thy soul. See? So that's what happened. A lot of us were looking for the truth, and we all come across it at different times. But, me personally, I know I was reading my scriptures since I was a teenager, and even younger, during captivity, we were in these different doctrines, different philosophies. I grew up, I was in a Catholic church, and I was actually an altar boy, all right? Had that Cesare Borgia curse right over my head, man. And I told the story in the past, but when I was an altar boy, I could never, ever remember what I was supposed to do, when I was supposed to do it. I always had to be prompted by the damn Catholic priest, Be sitting there, he'd be like, hey, you gotta do this now, hey, calling me over, with his fingers waving me to come, or bring the bread, bring the wine, whatever it was, you know what I mean? I never could get the routine down. It just didn't stick with me, But when I came across the truth, and it all made sense, The Lord wasn't trying to have me memorize that wicked ritual, So I didn't really cleave to it, All right, let's go to verse 30. Salakia. But yeah, the other point on verse 29 is a lot of us that are in this truth, we were looking for the truth, and we found the truth, and Now we're really seeking it with all our heart and soul. You see? Our mind and our soul. Verse 30, when thou art in tribulation and all these things are come upon thee, even in the latter days. See? So this is talking about even in the latter days, Because we are in tribulation. Before we didn't know why this place was so fucked up. But now that we have the truth, now we know why it's fucked up. We know this is not our rest. We know that we're in captivity. We know that Esau Edom has an agenda, or a new world order agenda that involves taking jabs, hokey pokies, and the CHIP, There are the RFID micro CHIP, alright? That's his new world order, man, and that's why it says, even in the latter days, if thou turn to Yahawah thy power, thou shalt be obedient unto his voice. See? So, that's what it is, and this always proves reincarnation as well, because it's telling, this is the second book of the law, Deuteronomy, that's what it's called, that's what that word means. You basically, it's given to Moses, and it says, even in the latter days, if thou be turned to Yahawah thy power, thou shalt be obedient unto his voice. Alright? So that's what it is, man. In these latter days, we're turning to our power. Now we're becoming obedient to his voice. And what is his voice? It's the words in this book. See? Verse 31. For Yahawah thy power is a merciful power. He will not forsake thee, neither destroy thee, nor forget the covenant of thy fathers, which he sware unto them. See, so he made a covenant with our forefathers, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. Okay? And he didn't forsake us. He obviously didn't forsake us, because now here we are coming back into the fold. He's not going to destroy us, It says, even in the latter days, in the last verse, when thou art in tribulation. What tribulation is it? It's talking about Jacob's trouble in the latter days. Because in the latter days, that's what it is, man. Jacob's trouble is going to be upon the Israelites. And it's also Esau's trouble, but Jacob's going to be saved out of it, you see. Let me see, I think Jeremiah 30:7. Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it. See? So Jacob's going to be saved out of it. Not Esau, not Ishmael, not Moab. We're going to be saved. The Israelites. The ones who hearken. The ones who seek Yahawah with our whole mind and soul. Like it said in verse 29 over in Deuteronomy 4:29. So let's see. Let's go back to it. Deuteronomy 4:31. And Yahweh's not going to forget us. All right? He's not going to forget the covenant he made with our forefathers. Verse 32. For ask now of the days that are past, which were before thee, since the day of Yahawah created man upon the earth, and asked from the one side of the heaven unto the other, whether there hath been any such thing as great thing is, or hath been heard like it. And Salakia I butchered that verse when I read it. Verse 33. Did ever people hear the voice of Yahawah speaking out of the midst of the fire, as thou hast heard, and live? See? Because you got to remember, Moses actually heard the Yahawah's voice. All right? Right now we're not worthy to hear the voice of Yahawah. We're we're not worthy. We're just not. He's not going to come down and talk to us. No, that's why he left the scriptures. That's why he has prophets to do his work. You know, you're not so great that Yahawah is going to come down and speak to you. And it says even if he did do that, you would be dead, because who can live after that? That's what it says in verse 33. Did ever people hear the voice of Yahawah speaking out of the midst of the fire, as thou hast heard, and live? So just his voice alone, man, you could imagine put a heart attack on these people. You know, the sight. But you can't even look at Yahawah because he's so, bright and glorious. So, you know, we're not on that level, man. It says, or hath Yahawah essayed to go and take him a nation from the midst of another nation by temptations, by signs, and by wonders, and by war, and by a mighty hand, and by a stretched out arm, and by great terrors, according to all Yahawah your power did for you in Egypt before your eyes. See? It's talking about ancient Egypt, right? When we left Egypt, we were delivered out of Egypt and delivered out of slavery. Here we are now in spiritual Egypt, where again we're going to be delivered out of captivity. We're going to have, that's going to be true liberty. You see? So let me read it. Let me read on here. Verse 35. Unto thee it was showed that thou mightest know that Yahawah is Yahawah, the power. There is none else beside him. All right, so there's nobody that compares to Yahawah. All right, we already know that in our spirit, man. Even before you came in this truth, you knew Yahawah was the ultimate power. There was none beside him. Your spirit knows that right off the bat. Verse 36, out of heaven he made thee to hear his voice, that he might instruct thee, and upon earth he showed thee his great fire, and thou heardest his words out of the midst of the fire. This is talking to Moses, not talking to us. He's talking to Moses, right? Moses is the one who actually heard his voice out of the fire. Verse 37. And because he loved thy fathers, therefore he chose their seed after them. Alright, so he's talking about Moses' fathers, alright? He's not talking about Pharaoh's fathers, And because he loved thy fathers, therefore he chose their seed after them, and he brought thee out of his sight with his mighty power out of Egypt. He's going to do that again with his mighty power. He's going to bring us out of spiritual Egypt, which is Babylon, America. People say, oh, America's not in the Bible, but that's because they don't have a spiritual mind. They don't have they're carnal, It's like when they ask us, oh, well, do you guys have a church? Well, no, the men are the church, the scriptures say. That's a spiritual thing, not carnal thing is looking for a building, that's what they're asking. Oh, where's your building at? Well, in the same way, with this truth, he's going to bring us out of spiritual Egypt. Okay, America has many names in the Holy Scriptures because it's spiritual. One of them is Edom. America is spiritually Edom, right? Because the Edomites rule it. Babylon, right? It's not ancient Babylon, it's spiritual Babylon, okay? And what does Babylon mean? Confusion, right? So ancient Babylon was confusion, and modern Babylon, America, is confusion, you see? Another reign of Basra. That was a chief city in Edom, which that's America, daughter of Babylon. America is not actually Babylon, but it's referred to as the daughter of Babylon in the scriptures. So you see how America is mentioned in the Bible over and over, but it's spiritually these other places. Okay? The Assyrians. Spiritually, America are the Assyrians. When it mentions the Assyrians, the Babylonians, the Egyptians, even the Persians and the Medes, This is the spiritual meaning now. Because why? Because all those countries, all those nations had us in captivity and subjection. And now in our last captivity, Babylon America, that's where that spirituality comes in. We know that spiritually these places, these heathen nations have kept us in slavery, or captivity. So when it says spiritual Egypt, we know what it's talking about. And not only that, Amos 3 and 7, it tells you that, because see, the Christians, they're not gonna know the mysteries of the Holy Bible. Let me get to it real quick. Amos 3 and 7, surely Yahawah thy power will do nothing, but he revealeth his secret unto his servants the prophets. Alright, so Renaissance Christians aren't going to be able to break down these scriptures because they're doing it carnally, right? They don't have a spiritual, they're not on the spiritual level that the men of the Lord are, the prophets of Yahawah Bashem Yahushai. It's a whole new ball game, all right? You can get, we're the weak, right? We're insignificant in Babylon, but when it comes to these scriptures, it tells us we can confound the mighty, which are the elite of Edom. See, which you'd be talking about the Rothschilds, the Gettys, the Rockefellers, the DuPonts. Those elite families. When you go into that word confound, I've been speaking on it a lot lately. Let's get it. 1 Corinthians 1:27. But when you go into that word confound, it means to annoy or to piss off, to make them angry. So that's what we're doing. We're confounding the wise. Okay.